honored to introduce our next storyteller. She transforms despair into hope and meaning. She walks her talk. She lives her truths. She embraces her vulnerabilities. She dares to be empowered. She teaches love. She awakens authenticity in others. She lives to be alive, honoring, connected, and open. May her courage and grace inspire all of you. Please welcome Leslie Bartlett.
That's something to try to live up to, huh? Okay. Hi. She heard herself saying in her head, no secrets. There can't be secrets. She had grown up with secrets, and she knew the damage that they did to people, to families. Life didn't make sense with secrets. People pretending nothing was wrong, not talking about what was right in front of them. Feelings flying every which way like daggers. No, secrets did damage. People left. She learned, don't trust your instincts. And above all, don't talk about your real feelings, your real needs. You'll get bit in the tush, or something worse. She had lived in this darkness for many years without really knowing it, period. And then eventually the truth started to seep out. The truth always does, but not without pain. And yet, it was like a breath of fresh air. She would not allow that cowardice in her own family. No, there would be no secrets. Share the truth. Live what is. Make it good. Do the best you can. Her family deserved her best. She deserved her best. And she was going to give it. Then 3 years of infertility. Tests, shots, promises, nothing working as advertised. They did what the doctors asked, hoping for a miracle. The one their bodies was supposed to provide for them, but wasn't. And then it happened. All of a sudden, without intervention, she was pregnant. Oh my God. She remembers swimming with that babe in her belly, the song she sang, the promise she made to always, always, always take care of her. Or him, it really didn't matter. She loved, she laughed, life was good. They were intoxicated with joy for a full 36 hours. It was a Friday in February. It was already getting dark outside and cold. The clinic was closing. The doctor wanted to go home. He said, it's a tubal pregnancy. It's dangerous, you could die. In the next 24 to 36 hours, you'll probably rupture. There'll be a lot of blood. And emergency rooms just really aren't equipped for that. Her mind flooded with images of the ER, the antiseptic smell, the cold, hard, oh so cleanable surfaces, nothing warm, soft. The always busy nurses and the ever elusive doctors. She was scared. She remembered the promise that she had made the night before to always, always, always take care of her child. She felt like a liar. She saw the pleading in her husband's eyes. He couldn't lose her too. She cried as she protested. She felt cornered, confused, pushed. And finally, reluctantly, she agreed. Eventually, the day came when there were no more options. She had never imagined adoption would be or could be anything that she would do. But on that day, that very day, when the options evaporated, she did a 180 so fast, so completely that it was really quite amazing. But no, what it was, the truth of her experience. Her truth. Soon there was the weekend of workshops. Adoption was like going to graduate school. It was worse than the infertility clinic. There was so much to understand, so many choices, so many decisions, domestic, international, an infant, a young child. What might speed it up a little more quickly? They'd been waiting a long time. She was getting older. Surely a couple that gets pregnant doesn't have all these decisions. To make sure they gained as much insight as possible, they chose to go to the workshops individually. They decided which ones each would go to according to some kind of arbitrary criteria called feelings. They were on a mission, a new chapter in creating their family, a chapter in a book that nobody in their family had ever read or really understood, a book that was actually really unwritten, about a journey that really had no map. There it was at the first workshop. Within the first 5 minutes, she understood enough about what open adoption was that she knew that would be what they did. She didn't have to ask her husband or tell him. She knew he'd feel the same way. After all she'd been through, she couldn't imagine receiving another woman's child without honoring that woman completely. She would not deprive her child of his or her birth mother. She could not imagine letting another woman live without the knowledge that her child was safe and loved and nurtured, that she had made the right decision, a good decision, even though a painful decision. She would not deepen that pain, not for the birth mother, not for herself, and not for the next generation. She knew that loss all too well. She saw clearly in that moment as her life unfolded in front of her the three sides of the triangle they call adoption. She understood the pain that each side would have to bear. She was ready to embrace it, all of it. There would be no pretending it away, no secrets. What there was, the building of a deep, honest connection between all involved. This was now their mission. And then there was the workshop she called a cruel joke. She went anyway. Her husband encouraged her to. And there she learned an adoptive mother can breastfeed her child. Kind of strange, right? Yeah. It's true. And how it works is that you take a bottle hanging from your neck and it's upside down. Yeah, upside down. Everything in her life was upside down and backwards, and this particularly was upside down. Was she crazy? Would people think she was nuts? You know, would anybody support her? It was so painful. Anyway, the bottle was upside down and it has these tiny little tubes, 2 of them, and each you tape to the nipple. And the infant latches on to both and drinks the milk. Okay, that sounds good, but here's the really crazy part. The suckling fools the breast into making its own milk. That's a miracle. When she and her husband met at the end of that day, when they found each other, they were both thoroughly excited to share what they had learned. He was as ecstatic as she. In fact, the twinkle in his eye was almost surreal. She had seen that once before, and that was the day, the moment they had met. Like a duet singing harmony, they shared their dreams about open adoption. Breastfeeding went quickly on the list as soon as her husband said, "I'll take care of all the prep." And there would be a lot of prep. Her fears were subsiding. Finally, they were feeling like they were finding the path. Their excitement was palpable. Three and a half years and 4 failed adoptions later, their pain was consuming. So consuming that they were actually considering giving up their dream to have a family. In fact, they were literally just sitting down to discuss where they may be done with this dream, maybe with each other. She remembers the feel of the airy fabric, the light fabric of the skirt she had on. You know those Indian skirts with the 3 layers, really full, lots of colors, and the string in the front with the bells on it. She remembers fluffing it up so that she could sit on the sofa unencumbered. Everything was so heavy. Surely something had to be free. It was just as she was sitting, not even seated, just beginning to sit, that the phone rang. In a vague haze of sadness, she watched as her husband turned away from her to get the phone. She was vaguely aware when he turned back and said, "This is it." She thought, yes, maybe it is. Could we really be done? He repeated louder this time, "This is it." It woke her from her haze. She knew that voice. He knew something. It was like a shot of adrenaline. This was the phone call they had been waiting for. She took the phone. The birth mother is not supposed to call directly. They learned right there and then that she did things in her own unique way. She had chosen them from a stack of 300 letters. Why call the agency? The phone number was right there. She'd made the decision. This was between them. They liked her immediately. They spoke for 3 hours that day. Time just flew by. Each moment more fluid than the one before. The names that they had each chosen for this child fit like they belonged together. This was no chance meeting. Each risk that they took in entering this unknown terrain connected them more and more deeply. They spoke again the next day. More magic. The birth father wanted to be involved. They could never have imagined something so wonderful. He thought maybe he wouldn't be accepted. They weren't married. How wrong could he be? At the end of that day, all 4 of them knew this was real. This is going to happen. And each one of them was scared and yet full of belief. She was 5 months pregnant the first time they met. This time, they went right to her. There was no checking into the motel and getting settled or waiting for the next day at the agency meeting. No, they had crossed a continent for her. She greeted them eagerly at the door. And then she hesitated and walked away. That brief moment was like an eternity. When she returned, she brought a gift, something she had made especially for them. It was an angel with an infant cradled in her arms. And she said as she handed it to them, "This is how I see myself." Wow. She was an angel, giving a gift only an angel could give. They met her 3-year-old son, soon to be a brother. Such a bundle of energy and joy. He was a blessing for them, a harbinger of what was to come. Our son will be 21 next month. When he was 6, maybe, at bedtime one night, I said, "You are a lucky boy." We hadn't spoken about his adoption for quite a while. We'd been told not to. We didn't agree, really. He'd known from the beginning. Well, not all advice is helpful. He asked, "Why? Why, Mommy?" And I said, from deep in my heart, "Because you have 2 mommies and 2 daddies who love you dearly." His face just lit up. And he spent the next 2 weeks asking me questions every night at bed. And I answered each and every one as we cuddled. There have been 7 trips across the continent to connect this family, to grow our bond. We have gone there. They have come here. And in fact, when they came here, 2 brothers came. Yes, there's a 3rd brother. He's 9 years younger. Quite an amazing, talented young actor. These boys, even with the distance, care about each other. I see clearly, even more clearly now, how lucky we all are. 21 years ago, Michelle, Corey, Stephen, and I walked into the unknown, trusting that our love for a small, innocent being would guide us. It did. Together, we walked into the confusion, the competing needs, the unconscious assumptions, not without struggle. Every family struggles. And we have grown a deep, abiding trust and love, and a sincere admiration for one another. Our family, though different, is like many families. We strive to be open, loving, accepting of each other, all of who we are, foibles and all. No, we're not perfect. We are a huge family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, all 4 sides. And yes, we are a very lucky family. And we have that innocent child, now beautiful young man, to thank. And 2 sets of parents who are willing to take the risk and believe in each other for the sake of a child. We have been repaid 1,000,000-fold for our efforts. I, for one, have learned to trust my instincts. So yes, there are no secrets. Don't keep them, not from others or from self. This is a sacred trust. Thank you.